The Will Anderson thing is interesting to me because I get entirely how you can come to the conclusion that Will Anderson is not the sort of blue chip that he's being talked about as. I get being a little bit leery of him and sort of saying, look, forget Von Miller. That's just like an unreasonable expectation as a starting point. But to even say he's not in the Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, Chase Young mold, he might not even be in the Aiden Hutchinson category. Maybe he's a step below that. I get that. What I don't understand is sort of dropping him below, I mean, Tyree Wilson on his own, and then below Nolan Smith as well. And then if you're Chris Sims, dropping him below 3 more guys as well. Like, I understand saying, let's tap the brakes on saying just how good this guy is. From day one, you know, he got kind of the defensive version of the Trevor Lawrence hype, where like day one in his college career, it's like, this dude is the guy. Like, look out, 2023 draft, this guy's coming in a couple of years. And those guys, I think, tend to skate past the traditional like nitpicking time of the draft. It's like, we've just determined from day one, this guy's amazing, and that will remain intact all the way through the draft. And I think if you start to look and really poke holes in his game and his production and those kinds of things, you can question, does he really deserve that like true blue chip level evaluation? But I don't. So I get that. I think that's an entirely reasonable and maybe correct viewpoint. I don't get how you make that leap from that to going, he's the 3rd or 4th or 5th or 6th best edge rusher in this draft. I think that's just like overcompensating. It's like everyone else thinks he's the blue chip. He's not. I must push back, and I must push back harder than the push that is to get him at this spot.
Yeah.
So he stinks.
Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, I fight that with Tyree Wilson. I'm not trying to be like so you know, like against the grain with Tyree Wilson.
And that might seem hypocritical because some of our takes are so contrary to like the convention that people are going to say we're doing. Like, I don't think I'm doing that with Christian Gonzalez. I resisted the urge to put him even lower on my cornerback list because I went, all right, it's gone too far now. Even though I don't like him as a player from a sort of technical and actual on-field performance, the movement skills are so good that there becomes a point where you say, I'm willing to take the gamble. I think it's worth it. And I think the Tyree Wilson thing is similar. Like, I don't like him. I don't think he's got a good chance of working out. But at some point, you go, okay, this is where it's worth taking a shot.
Just a little bit more on the Will Anderson point. I can understand some of the angst against him. So from a college football standpoint, back in 2021, it was about Will Anderson and Aiden Hutchinson, the 2 guys you're talking about. Everybody was saying which guy would deserve the Heisman if we were going to give it to a defensive player. The stats said Will Anderson that year.
Right.
The PFF grade said Aiden Hutchinson. So there was a point where we were kind of like, Will Anderson's not as good as the stats show, right? Maybe. And last year he wasn't as effective as a pass rusher. And if you look at the career for Will Anderson, he does not have an elite pass rushing performance against NFL prospects, when compared to NFL prospects.
Right.
64th percentile pass rush grade in college among guys that have gone on to the NFL. Aiden Hutchinson was 90th percentile. Now, where Anderson is different, he has the very best or second best run defense grade of anybody. Hutchinson was in that boat. He was close. He was 98th percentile. But we get 99th percentile for Will Anderson. So he's a very good prospect, a very good player. I can understand why people might say, hey, maybe the pass rushing isn't special.
Yeah.
You add it to like when he did go up against Darnell Wright, potential first-round pick, it was ugly. But again, I think you compare, and then you could also say like Tyree Wilson had a better pass rush win percentage just last year again than compared to Will Anderson. It was comparable as a pass rusher just last year. But the whole body of work for Will Anderson is still very, very good, even if it is a tier below the Boses, the Chase Youngs, the Myles Garretts, and even an Aiden Hutchinson.
And Ben Stockwell, our head of data, elite grader, the guy that's sort of in charge of everything at PFF from a data point of view. I like getting his takes every now and again because he comes at it in a similar kind of fashion that I do, which is fresh eyes, having never watched these guys necessarily in college. dives in every now and again. You get his take. Ben had the same sort of initial reaction, not as strong as I had watching Quentin Johnston, which is, I've heard this guy's amazing. You put it on the tape and you're like, really? Are we sure? And my initial reaction was to ask Renner, like, are you really sure that this guy is amazing, Quentin Johnston? And Ben was the same. It's like, are we certain this guy is amazing? Like, he wasn't saying he was bad. I think that's a key differentiator. But his initial reaction was, I don't quite see what people are talking about in terms of like clear blue chip, one of the best players in the draft, et cetera, et cetera. So I get wanting to tap the brakes on Anderson. I don't get he's going to be third, fourth, fifth edge rusher off the board.
Agreed. Yeah. So like when Pete Prisco says he's not Von Miller or Derek Thomas. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Fair.
Right.
No one else is. And I think Anderson's the best and safest of that group.